Hello and welcome back to the BS Rugby channel. Welcome back. Earlier yesterday, it was announced that there were 4 nominees for the IRB World Player of the Year for men's in the 15 game. Today, we're going to have a look at each of the candidates, have a look at stats, what they've achieved over the past 12 months, and why maybe they will be lifting that trophy. They'll be looking to get it off this man, Peter Steph du Toit, who won it last year after incredible performances for the Springboks. What a year he had. Let's see who will join him in winning that trophy. Before we get into it, please do hit the subscribe button. It's free to do, helps grow the channel. Leave a like on the video. And of course, I'm eager to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know who you think should win it this year. Let's have a look at the 4 nominees then. This is who's been nominated: Antoine Dupont, Mauro Itoje, Michael Hooper, and Samu Kerevi. Let's start off with Antoine Dupont. He is, of course, a Frenchman playing at Toulouse, as a scrum half, and is aged 25. Let's have a look at what he's achieved this year. Well, he's had quite a successful year at the domestic level for Toulouse, winning the top 14 and the Champions Cup, the pinnacle of a rugby player's club career for sure, winning the top title in his country and winning the top title in Europe. And he's been absolutely instrumental to the way that Toulouse want to play. Of course, he's got his international teammates at 12 in Roman and Tamak. Let's have a look at his stats, and his stats are quite exceptional, really. So enjoy this. In the top 14, he played 15 matches, 87% of them as a starter, scoring 7 tries, so got 35 points. And his discipline is actually very good, 0 yellow cards throughout the course of the season. The Champions Cup, he played 5 games, 100% as a starter, 4 tries in 5 games, 20 points. Again, 0 yellow cards. Absolutely brilliant average match rating there. And again, he stays on the pitch for quite a long time, staying on the pitch for the last 4 minutes on average in those games. Of course, France headed over to Australia this summer. He headed over there as well. Played in one of the games, 100% starting in that, of course, but 2 tries in 1 game is quite impressive against the Aussies. In the Autumn Nations Cup so far, he's played 1 game. That was against Georgians at the time of recording. These are the stats we have available. And in the Six Nations, he's played 5 games, 100% as a starter, 3 tries, and then 15 points out of that. Giving him a total for the season then, 20 matches for Toulouse, 11 tries, 90% as a starter. And then for France, 7 starts, 5 tries. So as you can see, some incredible stats there from the French scrum half. And one of the big things that recently have happened this summer and this autumn, after Olivon was announced as injured, he's taken up the captaincy for France, showing a leadership, an understanding of his role and an understanding of how to get the best out of his teammates and how to talk to referees, something which I have noticed in this autumn international. We've got to mention the way that he plays. I love watching this guy play. When he gets the ball in hand, he always seems to know what to do at the right time. He creates something out of nothing. He spots gaps that you didn't even realize that were there. He is quite an exceptional player, and what a year it has been for him in this new French team. The way they're playing, the way they've galvanized, the way they've been built back up once again is so impressive, and he's really been central to that. He's the golden boy, along maybe with Roman and Tamak, isn't he? So what a player, and a very worthy nominee of this trophy. Let's move on then to one of the men that will be challenging him. That is Michael Hooper of Australia, and the Waratahs. Is of course 30 years old and plays across the back row for the Aussies and the Waratahs. And actually, it's been a very good year for him. Of course, Australia have struggled over the last few years, but you've got to say, well, last season they had a fantastic time in the Rugby Championship, finishing 2nd in that. He led them to wins over South Africa twice, the French twice, and Argentina twice this year. And he's the youngest Test centurion ever. So what an achievement that is for him. He did obviously go over to Japan a couple of years ago, I want to say it was, and he's come back, and he's one of the best back rowers in the world. If we have a look at some of his stats, definitely stands out, regarded as one of the best jacklers over the ball in the world, and he is pivotal to the way Australia want to play. Let's have a look at some of his stats then. So stats for Australia across the last couple of seasons: 14 games played, 2 tries. Australia in the Rugby Championship won the most rucks, 95% of their rucks won, and he was obviously pivotal To that, in the Rugby Championship, completed 49 tackles. That's the 9th on the list, and got the most tackles against England last weekend, 10th in that match. So he's very pivotal to the way that Australia plays, a captain, and he's led this team out from a very difficult period in Australian rugby history, where they got battered out in the quarter-final of the World Cup against England. They really struggled over the last couple of years, but this summer they've shown that they're able to compete at the top level again, beating the world champions twice and beating Argentina pretty comfortably as well. Let's move on then to the next challenger. We'll stay in the forwards, and it is Maro Itoje. Plays for England, and Sarries, of course, is a lock by trade and is 27 years old. And what a guy he is on and off the field. A bit of an entrepreneur, which you love to see rugby players having something to do outside of rugby. Some achievements for him this year, but he was part of the team that returned to the English Premiership, winning the Green King IPA Championships this year. Also last year, he was part of the squad that won the Autumn Nations Cup in 2020. And he started all 3 of the tests for the Lions, as we lost 2 games to 1 in that one. But he started all 3 tests, which just shows that he is one of the best in his position, certainly, at least within the British and Irish Isles. As a player, I believe he's really, really matured. You know, he's become a player who is comfortable in leading. We saw that against France in the Six Nations, where he got that winning try, took the responsibility on himself really to pick and go and to stretch and get over the line and to finish that try as they beat the French, of course. But we have to be totally honest. 2021 has not been a great year for England, and at the international level, that is something that you certainly have to look at. They struggled in the Six Nations, of course. A lot of their players did go over to the Lions, and in this year's Autumn Nations series, they've started well, but they played Tonga and they played Australia, who are missing a couple of players. Itoje has been playing for Sarries a little bit this start of the Premiership, but obviously having that rest since the Lions tour, and I don't know if it's been his best year. But we must look at his stats, though, because his stats are very, very impressive as an individual player. And that is, of course, what this trophy really should be given for, at least. So in Maro Itoje's stats, there's certainly defensively, he massively stands out. Tackles attempted 129, tackles completed 123, to only 6 tackles missed, which gives him a 95% tackle success rate with 5 turnovers won. That's from all his games for England over the past year or so. So really impressive defensively. Someone who loves to get involved, is also a brilliant option at the line-out. And looking at those stats, he's up there with some of the best tacklers in the world statistically, and rightfully so, is on this list. The final man on this list then to talk about is this man, Samu Kerevi. Plays for Australia, plays out in Japan with his son Ture, son Goliath. Is a centre and is aged 28. An interesting one with Samu Kerevi. He went to Japan, didn't he? Played a little bit of sevens for the Australian team, but was left out of Dave Rennie's squad after the Rugby World Cup in 2019. And it seemed like that was probably it for his international career. But he's been recalled back into the squad, and what an impact he had for Australia as they finished second in the Rugby Championship this year. And you've noticed over the last couple of games that Australia have had in this Autumn Nation series, how much they miss him, how much they miss his ability in the centre to beat players, but also to get over the game line for sure. If we have a look at some of his stats from this season, this is in the Rugby Championship this year, it's very, very impressive. 2 tries, carries, he's got 65 successful carries. That's the first out of any player in the Rugby Championship this year. Clean breaks, 5. Third most out of anyone in the Rugby Championship. Defenders beaten 21, that's the second most. Meters made 585, that's the most. And 8 offloads is also the most of any single player in this year's competition in the Rugby Championship. So the stats, just like Itoje, truly back him up. The stats for all 3 of them are pretty impressive. Mike Hooper maybe a little bit behind there, but plays a very different type of game, doesn't he? But this is it, decision time. Who deserves to win? Well, in my opinion, there is only one person who can win this title this year. For me, Michael Hooper's had a very good year. He has had a very good year, but has he really had the success to back it up? He hasn't won anything at all. Maro Itoje, on the other hand, has won a couple of trophies over the past year or so, has led Saracens back to the Premiership, which was not completely easy, but Has his performances for England doing the poor Six Nations and, of course, doing the Lions, do they really warrant him to fully win this one? I'm not too sure. Samu Kerevi, on the other hand, his stats are incredible, came back into the Australian fold, but again, hasn't won anything, didn't win the title out in Japan, is playing out in Japan, which I do think we have to take into consideration. As I said, didn't win anything with Australia, hasn't even come on this tour in the Autumn Nations Series. He's back in Japan. Although his stats are incredible, I don't think we can give him it. For me, there's only one man who can win this, and that's Antoine Dupont. Antoine Dupont has had an incredible year. He is central to the way France plays, central to the way they've changed and the way they have improved over the last 12 months, especially. And his rugby intelligence is just incredible. It really is. For me, he's the best scrum half in the world, probably the best player in the world alongside R.D. Surveyor, which I'm surprised actually he's not on this list. But Antoine Dupont, a worthy winner in my opinion if he was to win it, but any of these four would be worthy winners to win it if they were to do so. But there we go. I've had my say. We've looked at some stats. We've looked at what they've won this year and what they've achieved. As always, do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see something similar for the breakout player of the year, maybe the sevens player of the year, maybe the women's player of the year, do hit the like button. It lets me know you want to see that. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's free to do. Helps grow the channel. And thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. And I'll see you soon here on BS Rugby. Peace.